Hello students and welcome back to Mr. Armstrong Teaches. Today's topic, compounds in grammar. Compounds will refer to most of the things that we study in grammar, most of the different parts of speech. Today we're mostly going to be looking at compound subjects, compound verbs, and compound objects of the preposition. And like I said, we are going to come across compounds with other parts of speech. For example, compound direct objects, compound indirect objects, compound predicate adjectives, compound predicate nominatives, etc., etc. There will be others. They will come later. But remember that compounds are very simple. All compounds in grammar means is more than one. If you have a compound subject, it means you have more than one subject. If you have a compound verb, it means you have more than one verb, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at some examples. Rafi and Samara play cards. In this sentence, we have two different people doing the same thing. In other words, we have two subjects that are connected to the same verb. We have a compound subject. Rafi is the subject and Samara is the subject. Rafi, Samara, both play. Two subjects connected to one verb. It is a compound subject. Take a look at this next example. You or I will win. In this example, I used pronouns. Pronouns can be subjects too. And once again, we have compound subject. There are two subjects, you and I. Two subjects connected to the same verb phrase in this instance, will win. You will win. I will win. And of course, there could be a lot more than just two. Compound just means more than one. It could just as easily be you, Bob, Krishna, or I will win. Now we have four subjects. Still compound subject, but there's four separate subjects connected to the same verb phrase. How about compound verbs? It's possible we might confuse compound verbs with helping verbs. After all, verb phrases are more than one verb, but these are two separate and independent verbs. Two or more, I should say. Independent verbs that aren't working together. They aren't helping each other. They're just existing close together in the same sentence. For example, Julio runs and jumps. In this sentence, we have just one subject, but that subject, Julio, is doing two different actions. There are two verbs connected to the same subject. In other words, compound verbs. They're not helping each other. They're related, but they are two separate actions going on simultaneously in the same sentence and connected to the same subject. Runs is a verb. Jumps is a verb. Julio runs, but Julio also jumps. The cat has claws and uses them. Once again, we have a compound verb attached to the same subject, cat. Cat is the simple subject. What are the two verbs? The two verbs are has and uses. Has is a form of to have. Uses is a form of to use. The cat has something and uses something. But we have a compound verb once again. And of course, just like with compound subjects, we can have more than two compound verbs in a sentence. Compound just means more than one. There could be 3 or 4 or 5. You just don't want to get into any run-on sentence territory. Let's take a look at our final examples for today. Compound objects of the preposition. The first example, Sven eats soup with a spoon and bread. He's eating soup. He's got a spoon. He's got some bread. Dip, dip, dip. Eat. He's enjoying his soup. But that's beside the point. This sentence has one prepositional phrase, and that prepositional phrase has two objects of the preposition. What's the prepositional phrase? The prepositional phrase is with a spoon and bread. With spoon, also with bread. One preposition is connected to two different objects of the preposition. And of course, once again, if we deleted that entire prepositional phrase, what we have left over is still a complete sentence. Sven eats soup. But how does he do it? With a spoon and bread. After lunch and recess, we study Chinese. Once again, there is a prepositional phrase in this sentence with two objects of the preposition, though of course there could be more. Can you find the prepositional phrase? After lunch and recess. After lunch, but also after recess. One preposition connected to two different objects of that preposition. And of course, if we eliminate it, we study Chinese is still a complete sentence. And that concludes this lesson about compounds in grammar. Remember, compound just means more than one, and it can apply to almost any part of speech. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, if you have any questions, you can ask me in class or post them in the comments below. I look forward to teaching you again very soon. Have a great afternoon, morning, night. Make it all good.